Did you ever feel bored by the meaningless and static content of actual MMOs? Bonded to tiring loop cycles like eat, sleep, dailies, repeat,
eat, sleep,
dailies, repeat,
eat, sleep,
dailies,
repeat, eat, sleep,
dailies,
repeat.
Well, I felt like that for a long time, and I got fucking pissed off it. But that might be issues of the past, or at least until this game comes out. Hey guys!
My name is Jeff.
Obviously not. This is Reaccon. And in this video, I'm going to explain the node system in Ashes of Creation. Before I start, I need to leave a short disclaimer. Please keep in mind that AOC is still in a very early development state. Everything I explain and talk about in the following video is subject to change. Now that you know that, let's jump right into it. First things first, what are nodes? A node is a basic unit used in computer science. Nodes are devices or data points on a larger network. Devices, such as a personal computer, cell phones or printers, are nodes. However, these are not the nodes I want to talk about. The node system is one of the core mechanics in Ashes of Creation. It is one of the 4 pillars which I explained in my last video that this game is based on. Nodes will first exist behind the scenes, unknown to the players. But as they advance, they can change everything in the game, such as NPC settlements and world quests, affecting the very landscape of the game, the PvP, the PvE, and even crafting and gathering being evolved by the player's choices. They will make every server's world unique to that server. Nodes represent specific locations within the world, and are in fact small, spread out areas until they get leveled up. A node area can be called its zone of influence. All activities from a player within the zone of influence of a node, like gathering, crafting, questing, killing monsters and so on, will be tracked and stored by that node. This will be stored as experience that will reflect the participation of the players within that node. And the higher the experience level gets, the closer it inches towards a new level of civilization. By reaching a certain experience level, a node will develop into its first out of 6 possible stages. All nodes will fit into one of 4 distinct types. Each of these types will define how players interact with them. Regardless of the node type, the civilization within a node can be player governed, customized and fought over. Some nodes can even unlock hidden aspects of the world, such as world bosses or secret dungeons. Let's move on with the node basics. Long ago, the world suffered a great calamity, and nobody knows why the people of this planet fled. After hundreds and hundreds of years, the great divine portal have opened once again, and you will be able to enter the world again through this portal. Once arrived, you will be facing a world devoid of civilization with wilderness everywhere. Your start point in-game will be one of these great divine portals. Now you as a player go out to explore the world, and the direction you choose is up to you. Since it's only filled with wilderness, you will be facing monsters and eventually find resources that you could gather. While exploring the world, you will go through several nodes on your way. They will literally be everywhere and fill the whole world's map. Some nodes will even be located in the underground and on the ocean. It is up to us, the players, to choose which nodes to build on. And this is one of the reasons why every server in this game will be unique and different from the others. Players from the community, and especially guilds, will choose different ways and nodes, especially because only a limited amount of nodes can be developed at the same time, and certain content will be locked behind which nodes develop. As a competitive player, I find this feature really interesting, not just because this will bring a lot of engagement to the early gameplay, but also I'm curious about how people will interact or play against each other to reach their goals. Once the first set of nodes are explored, and a node gets activated and leveled to a certain stage, the surrounding nodes nearby will be deactivated. These deactivations will narrow down the possible paths of advancement of the server, but at the same time, they will open new paths for the players to explore more hidden parts of the world. The level of difficulty will be higher depending on the node's development progress. The more civilization expands within the world, the more events will occur, such as spawning stronger monsters or bosses, adding new quests and other PvE events. Zones of influence. As mentioned before, a node has an area around it, which will influence the level of its development. This area is a so-called ZOI, the zone of influence around a specific node, which will influence the node by collecting experience through player actions, such as questing, hunting and gathering, as well as from crafting objects within that node. The radius of the ZOI also depends on the node's development stage. As an example, the zone of influence of a metropolis, which is a stage 6 node, will most likely encompass way more than just one node. Besides development stages, there are also 4 different so-called distinct types of nodes: military, economic, divine, and scientific. These types unlock different buildings at each level of a node's progression. A node type also determines the type of government the node has. The type of a node will be reflected by surrounding NPCs even at a stage 1 node, which means you will be able to tell the type of a node in an early stage of development. In a military node, you will probably have soldiers. If you're in an economic node, you will instead find more merchants and traders. If it's a divine node, you will have some priests. And in a scientific node, you will probably find some scholars. So in case you would like to contribute to the growth of a particular type, you might have to think about moving to a different node before starting to contribute to the wrong node type. Node stages. A node's development is divided into 6 stages. As a node continues to progress, it will unlock access to new features. The more successful a town or city is, the more appealing it will be and the more NPCs will get attracted to it, which will provide evolving content. This content will reflect the location of a specific node, however, the world will react to the growing activity on their nodes. According to this, it may trigger special events. For example, as the civilization and development of your node grows, it may also draw the attention of monsters or even epic world bosses surrounding it. Now that we know that, let's go on with the single stages. Stage 1, the expedition. At the expedition stage, NPCs will arrive and unlock access to new activities, such as quests for the players, and it will only take a few hours to develop it. Stage 2, the encampment. After many hours, an expedition stage will upgrade into an encampment. By upgrading the node, more NPCs will get attracted to it. Stage 3, the village. It will take a few days to upgrade an encampment to a village. Once a village is developed, it will offer housing, and with the housing comes citizenship. Stage 4, the town. Many days later, a village can be upgraded to a town, and houses will level up with it, offering the owners more space. As a side note, it could also happen that new monsters will be threatening a newly formed town. Stage 5, the city. Upgrading to the city stage will take a few weeks, and there might be a way to connect one node to another, for example by bridges, which will allow players to open new trade routes. Stage 6, the metropolis. After many weeks, probably months of hard work, you can eventually upgrade a city to a busy but most likely beneficial metropolis. But the metropolis will require a lot of resources to build and maintain. And because of how nodes relate to each other, there can only be 5 in existence at a time. Which doesn't mean that it's impossible to create new metropolises. Even if this will be hard to achieve, once a metropolis is destroyed, it will be possible to settle a new one. so in case there is none in your favor, you can sharpen your swords and go fight for it. Node architecture. There are 8 different types of architectures, and each one will represent one of the 8 races. The architecture of a node will be determined by the primary contributors to its development. Let me try to explain how that works. Each player has racial markers according to its race. The amount of markers that are involved into the development of a node will get tracked. That means the flavor of an architecture type will be influenced by the amount of racial markers of a particular race, and the highest marker count will determine which architecture type the node will have. Governance. The method of government a node has will be determined by its node type. There are 4 different methods of government systems: military, economic, divine, and scientific mayorship. These mayorships will be elected in different ways depending on the node type. Elections. First and most importantly, only citizens will be able to participate in the government and their different election processes. The form of election will be determined by the type of a node, and elections are currently considered to occur on a monthly basis. Additionally, absentee leaders can be replaced within the next election cycle, and this is the same for all leaders. If the population of a node disagrees with the decision made by the government, the leaders most likely will have a hard time staying on their position. For the military government, the election will be gladiatorial, and it will be up to the players to fight for the leadership. To prove their worth to lead, they need to be the last one standing on the battlefield. These warriors can only be removed from office by citizens who are better than they. The economic government will be run by elite oligarchies. So if you want to rule an economic type node, you better make sure that your coin purse is heavier than the one of your competition, because these positions can be bought and sold. So definitely nothing for me. I usually end up being broke AF in MMOs. Probably I should consider asking someone like Steven to give me some hints on success. The divine type will offer election by service. Leaders will be allocated through service-oriented quests. For example, quests that directly help others and their node, as well as quests that prove their faith and dedication to the node. Actually, this type is my personal favorite right now, and it does sound really interesting to me. Since I always play tanks and other supportive roles, it's usually a big part of my playtime to help others. The scientific node will offer the most traditional government, which allows citizens to come together and choose their leaders in an election. Service buildings and taxes. First of all, taxes can only be spent on the development of a node. For example, on service buildings like barracks or walls, but also on services like guard NPCs, marketplaces, or even to develop new trade routes. However, leaders must choose wisely when it comes to the construction of service buildings, because one of the biggest issues they will encounter is that the available space for buildings is limited. They should also have a clear plan for what they want to accomplish in order to keep their citizens comfortable. Some buildings can provide extended markets, which in my opinion would probably be a good pick for the economic type nodes, but as I said before, I'm not the best when it comes to money, so better don't trust me on this one. Other buildings might provide a zone-wide bonus to their citizens, as example fast traveling options, which I think would suit pretty well to the scientific nodes, while some may increase the node's ability to defend against a siege. To provide such services, leaders will have to tax their populations. Are their taxes set too high, the population may well abandon the node. I mean, as example, who would spend 90% of his income for a living? I wouldn't. Are they too little? The node may well decay and de-level, because there's too less money and too less resources to keep it safe or appealing enough. Leaders could supplement their income with trade agreements or trade routes to other nodes as well. Tax rewards. Only citizens will be able to reap the benefits that their taxes pay for. For example, global buffs or extra marketplaces, where you could set up a shop by purchasing time to the city and paying taxes on the goods you sell. Additionally, citizens can gain titles to their position within society. On a serious side note here, most of the rewards will be reserved for players that have been with the metropolis longest. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible for new players to get them, as long as they put enough effort into it. However, it could also happen that a node gets destroyed, which would open up new opportunities for latecomers. Node degrading and destruction. Starting from the story, everything in Ashes of Creation is about alteration. So everything that is created can also be destroyed. You may now also understand why they have chosen a phoenix as a logo for the game. But the effort to destroy something should be equitable with the effort to build something. That includes the node system as well. Means it won't be an easy task to take down a whole metropolis. The higher the stage of a node is, the harder it will be to initiate a siege and take it down. On the other hand, should a siege be successful, the node will eventually de-level or even be destroyed. Once a node is destroyed, all the benefits that came with it will be lost. Nodes will also experience atrophy, which will require player activity in order to make it stay or grow. So if a node loses too much activity, then it may trigger events like a PvE siege against that node. Before I end this video, I wanted to let you know that I decided to not include a detailed description of the housing system. But instead I'm thinking about making a separate video about it. Also, I want to leave a shout out to Chkoupinator. I hope I spelled that name correctly. He was helping me a lot with the script of this video, especially with some grammar stuff, which you probably noticed already. Thank you so much for the help, bro, I really appreciate it. You should also know that he's the webmaster and furthermore owner of the only French AOC fan site and community. I will leave a link to the website and his YouTube channel in the description below the video. And in case you would like to support him and his work via his AOC Referral-Link, feel free to do so. This guy is awesome and definitely deserves it. But he isn't the only one that deserves a thanks. You guys do as well. Thank you for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to hang out and chat with me, feel free to join me on my streams, my community Discord, or any other social network I'm on. You will find a list of links in the description of this video. Also, if you like my content and want to get notified when I upload a new video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And as usual, if you got any questions, suggestions, or just want to talk about this video, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Now go smash the buttons, and hopefully see you soon, guys.